Hello?
Hello, hello.
Hello, welcome to the stream.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry to have kept you up, but I'm glad that you could make it.
No worries at all. I've been very excited. My spaceship has been malfunctioning all day, but I've been able to keep maintenance and signal online thus far.
Alright, sounds good. So, is there anything that I should know about the game before getting started?
Right. Because of the fact that my spaceship crashed onto planet Earth a couple days ago, I only had a couple of hours to work on this. I believe the total amount of hours that I dedicated to this project was 6 hours. So keep your expectations accordingly.
That's totally fine. Alright, so otherwise, if you are ready, we can start with our first interview question.
Yep, of course.
Oh, and then what alias do you prefer to go by? Because I know you have a different username on Twitch versus on...
I am Pip, aka Pip Makes Games, aka Agapios Kokkos. Very nice to meet you.
I thought on Twitch you were Demonic Tart.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Alright. So, Pip is fine then?
Yes, Pip is fine.
Alright. So we'll go ahead and start with our first question then, which is, how did you decide on what you're going to make for the jam?
Right, so I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to take part in the jam in the first place, since, like I mentioned, spaceship crashed. However, because I was stuck in a flaming ball of fire for a couple of days, I decided, okay, well, I might as well. I did it last year. While I was in orbit, and I basically decided that I wanted to make something that had the joint mechanics, because for my dissertation, I had made another game that uses Unity's joint system. So I was like, might as well go with what I know and what I enjoyed doing. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think we got a lot of people using the hinge joints on this jam.
yeah, I prefer the spring joints and the fixed point joints, or the fixed distance joints.
Alright. So it looks like... Oh, okay, so I can sort of drag my ship out of the way of the incoming turret fire. Oh,
Yep.
but I just lost... Okay, let's recover.
Because it's a fast-paced game, there's a bit of a delay on my side on when I actually get to see stuff happen.
Yeah.
So I might not be able to comment that fast on stuff that I see.
No, that's alright.
You can continue to click and drag in order to move the turret instead of that.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, you really got to... is there background music? Did I just turn it down too low?
Yes, there is. And I actually made the background music for the main menu, and it was the first time I made music for a game.
Nice.
And I mostly made it out of samples, so I take partial credit for the music, in my opinion.
Sure, that's fair. I mean, you know, when I was just learning about game, like a lot of my earlier projects, I would just crack open FL Studio and find like some samples and like, oh, I'm just gonna layer these on top of each other. This sounds good. So,
Yeah.
all right. Here we go. Yeah, let me turn the audio up even just a little bit more. For most people, I have to keep it down like under 10. This is up to 30, so it's just a little quieter.
So the way that I usually do sounds and music in Unity, it's I turn up my computer volume to 100, and then I turn it to a reasonable volume, which is usually 0.16 around for music.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that I have the default music in my game very low for a similar reason. I just want to make sure I'm not deafening anyone, and if you want to turn it up, then you can.
Yeah.
All right. So, whoa, did I just lose a turret? That was fast. Oh my goodness, they're coming at me so quickly.
Yes. So the game works on a mixture of dynamic and fixed difficulty. The way that it works is that enemy speed works on the number of turrets and the amount of time that has passed since you started the game.
Mhm.
I am currently a bit tired, so I don't remember the exact formula, so that's roughly the formula.
Oh, no worries.
And also, enemy health is dependent on the amount of turrets that you have. And the turret firing speed is also dependent on the number of turrets you have. The more turrets you have, the faster it fires, so that it creates a sort of feeling of climax of everything just being so much faster and so much more chaotic as the game continues and you upgrade. But if you lose a couple of turrets, the game slows down so you can catch up. That
Nice.
sort of is the design difficulty space that I wanted to use and explore.
Yeah, I've absolutely. I love using dynamic difficulty curves because I think that having something that reacts to the player just feels really good, as opposed to something which is just always the same static difficulty whether you're winning or losing. Like, because if you, especially in like, I used it in a tower defense game, and I find that if you just start winning in a tower defense game, there's almost nothing that can stop you. It was Plants vs Zombies in particular. It just got super boring after a while. It's like, okay, I win. This is boring now. But if the game had just like had a dynamic difficulty and spawned some more zombies to combat just like the overwhelming amount of resources that I had, it would have been way more interesting. So that's what I tried to do. Anyway, so what was your development process like for this game? You only had 6 hours to do it. So how did you go about it?
When I say 6 hours, keep in mind that this was 6 hours spread between 2 days. It wasn't just 6 hours of development straight on. Okay. So the way that I worked with this was on the first night of the being declared, I basically sat down, opened Unity, and started messing around with, I want there to be a click and drag function. I wanted to do something with physics, because I knew if I had like a very basic sort of physics toy-ish feeling to the whole thing, I could make a quick arcade game of some sort. And then what happened was on the second day I came back to it and I was like, what if I made a tower defense game, but everything was joined together instead of fixed on a plane? And originally the heart was pinned to the center of the screen. And in the post-jam release, I'm actually going to make a second version of the second game mode where the heart is pinned to the center of the screen, so I can sort of show the difference between how the game feels between those two modes. And I found that just being able to move the heart just gave it a lot more of an interesting bit of control for the player, because if you pin the heart to the center of the screen, it feels a bit more like one of those clicker games, which I'm not opposed to, but I didn't want that level of energy in my game.
Yeah, I think that, I don't know, so when the heart was fixed to the center of the screen, what could you influence?
You can actually click and drag basically any of the non-enemy entities in the game. So you can actually click and drag the coins to yourself. You can do it in this version as well, if you feel like you have set up like a functional position.
Yeah. I tried it out and I just threw the coin past myself into the void.
Yeah, the heart used to be a little bit bigger so that you could actually catch the coins a lot easier if you threw them towards yourself. And I shrunk the heart down to make it more mobile and give the player a chance to dodge things.
Yeah, I think that was a good call, because it is already quite hard to... Oh, boy.
Yep. So the other thing that changes over time is enemy spawn rates. The way that I designed it was I didn't want a player to just sit there with one turret if they had found like the best location to just sit there. So I wanted it over time to not be a viable strategy. And the most viable strategy technically is to have a variety of the upgrades, which is the most sort of interesting play pattern. So I tried to promote that through my design.
Yeah, I guess the main thing is I don't always notice when I've collected enough coins for an upgrade. So Had you thought
Yeah.
about how you might change the UI to maybe indicate when you get like maybe one of the graphics could like flash or something to indicate like, hey, you got enough points for this?
Yes. So the thing that I'm thinking of doing is making a small. I'm thinking of changing the buttons a bit, and I'm also
Mm-hmm.
thinking of making the buttons hotkeyed, so that
Mm-hmm.
you could press one, two,
Yeah.
or three to actually use them. Because one of the most frequent sort of feedbacks that I got was, "Hey, like I have to take my attention off of the game in order to click the buttons to continue playing the game."
Yeah.
And originally I was thinking of it as like I want the game to be difficult, so I'm not gonna make it easy for the player. But as the like time continued, and like I thought about it more, it's less of it making the game difficult and it making the game more sort of accessible in a way, like ease of
Yeah.
access. So I think I just chose wrong in that sense, and I'm going to fix that mistake.
Sure. I mean, I think that it's a very important distinction that like a game can be hard to play, but you never want the game to be hard because of the controls, unless you're Bennett Foddy and then you do whatever you want and people don't care. But I don't like those games. Nothing against people who do. I don't stand for that. I think that games should have challenge not just from their control scheme, but just like actually presenting challenges to the player. Um,
Yeah, for Ben and Foddy, I like Ben and Foddy specifically. I don't like the people that mimic him because of the fact that he's trying to make a specific point with his games. It's games with meaning in his point. Not Quap or Clop. I'm more so talking
mhm.
about Getting Over It. That game it has the significance of the control scheme at the center.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting
I
a
you know what,
we
that's
can
fine. That's
agree
like I
to
said,
disagree.
yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah,
I don't want to like I'm not going to let my dislike for the genre ruin anyone else's enjoyment of it. People like what they want to
yeah.
like. It's totally a personal taste of
I mean,
things.
don't get me wrong. I don't enjoy playing the games, but I don't think they were made to be enjoyed.
No, and they weren't. And I completely acknowledge that not every single game has to be made to.
Enjoyable.
Okay. Now, one thing that I am running into consistently is an issue is that if I click on something and I click back on the character, it doesn't always register the click right away. Like sometimes I have to click multiple times to move the character
Yes.
around.
So what's happening there, and multiple other people have noticed it, is that occasionally the game will get confused with priority,
Mm-hmm.
and if there's coins near your character, it will try to
Uh,
prioritize picking up the coins. I
mhm.
am going to sort of fix that in the post game jam version. I've already started taking a look at it, but I
Mhm.
didn't realize that was happening because it's such a subtle sort of like weird thing.
Yeah.
Like I could tell that something was off, but I couldn't tell what it was
Yeah.
until like after it.
Right. Um, okay. So, if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask in chat, please feel free to submit them. But in general, this was made with Unity?
Yes,
Yes.
correct.
So, do you have any recommendations or like useful suggestions or hacks that you'd like to recommend for the Unity engine?
So as I sat here and watched your stream for like 2 days, and you were asking these questions, I kind of came up with two answers for this question. If I'm
Yeah,
okay
excellent.
to
Of
say two.
course, of course. I'm always happy to hear people have more suggestions. More the merrier.
So the first thing that I'd like to suggest is less of a hot tip for Unity specifically, and more for how to become a better games developer in general.
Hmm.
Which is usually what I do is when I go into a jam, I pick a thing that I feel uncomfortable with in terms
Hmm.
of like I feel like I'm weak at my particle work, or
Hmm.
I don't know how to fix like how to switch from dynamic physics to static physics or
Hmm.
stuff like that, or I don't know how to use a namespace in C sharp.
Hmm.
You give yourself, you pick something that you're not comfortable with, and then you sit down and you actually just go have a go at it. If it doesn't turn out well and you're not happy with the product, then oh well, take notes of what happened and like what you could do next time. And maybe like put it on the back burner, choose something else next time, or like choose it again. I feel like that has made me a lot more of a solid unit as a game developer in the past. In this game dev, because I had only 6 hours, it was less of a I picked something and I didn't feel like I'm good at, and more of a can I make this while I'm absolutely tired out of my mind. And I feel like I did a decent job at that. As for a general tip for Unity itself, I would say that you should never be afraid to try and use what Unity has already given you in terms of physics. I see a lot of player movement be based on transform.position instead of rigid body velocity.
Yeah.
And I don't like the feel of how solid a lot of the transform.position games are, and you can always tell when it's position versus velocity, because there's two ways to do velocity as well. It's that I've seen. One is changing the velocity over time, which is the best way to do it, and the other one is setting the velocity to something. Setting the velocity to something is a little better than dot position, but not by much, because of the fact that when you set the velocity, you will have that build-up over time a lot of the time, but you will not have drag afterwards, and people notice when there's no drag. While if you change velocity over time, and you make sure that your drag is properly implemented, because by default, drag is set to 0, so look out for that. But yeah, if your drag is set to the proper amount and you can play around with rigid body, then it's a really good tool.
Can't move the character. Okay. Nope. Lost it. Okay, got it. Huh, my goodness. I was in such a panic to try to regain control of the character there. I think that's another reason that having the hotkeys would really help, because then you don't have to, like, I would say you can just drop support of using the arrow keys. Drop support of clicking on the entities on the screen completely and switch to just the numerical controls, and then you don't even have to worry about fixing the solution of like clicking and dragging things. Well, sorry, no, that's not true. That's not true, because if you ever let go of the player character, then you would still want that.
Yeah.